Good morning, good evening, good night, whenever you guys are watching this channel. First, subscribe. Candace Owens is back. You know, she was out for a little while. She had her daughter in July, and she was talking about her stay in the hospital, which was very interesting. The new laws there in Tennessee about the babies giving blood, and they even try to charge her with a misdemeanor and call CPS because she wanted to leave the hospital because she wasn't getting enough rest. But I'm gonna let you hear a little bit of her story. And you know, Candace, she do her research and she know how to fight back. So check this out.
The hospital threatening to send child services to my front door and to charge me with a misdemeanor. That in the post-COVID era, people are realizing that there is something sinister that seems to be underlying the medical community. So I want to give you the story because I think it's important that we talk about what I perceive to be the administrative states, the FDA, the CDC, all of these unelected bureaucrats that are suddenly telling us how we have to live. So my story starts with, and if you're a woman listening to this, you'll know what I'm talking about, the many tests that you have to get while you are pregnant. One of them is for Group B strep, GBS, right? They say, we're going to test you for GBS. Now, if you're listening and you're wondering what even is GBS, I've had kids, I'm from a different decade, we never had to do this test. Well, what you are told as a woman is that it's a regular colonization that takes place in every woman's body. But they think that if you have a certain amount, I guess a certain number, or this colonization is bigger than usual, they recommend that you undergo antibiotics while you are giving birth.
And I found this video. I know Candace, she did her research. So, you know, like any medication you taking, you read the fine prints. There's a lot of side effects to it. But check this out.
Considering the small number of babies who become unwell and unfortunately die from GBS, the committee could not justify such judicial use of antibiotics because there's a lack of information on the long-term impact of intrapartum antibiotics. And in the short term, antibiotic use in labour has been shown by studies to alter the neonatal gut flora, and that changes in this flora have been associated with problems such as obesity, diabetes, inflammatory and autoimmune diseases, asthma and autism, just to name a few. And this doesn't take into account the impact of antibiotics upon the woman's body and how that will affect her in the long term.
So I'm gonna let you finish listening to a little bit of Candace. And if you wanna listen to her whole story, I'll put a link in the description below.
Now, here's the first thing that you should know, and they will tell you this, the doctors will back this up. You can test positive for GBS on a Thursday at 2 p.m., come back and take that test at a Thursday at 6 p.m., and you won't have, you can test negative. So it's just, you know, just to make sure we're going to test you for this. It could go away within a couple of hours, and you might test differently. But if you test positive even once, they're not going to retest you, and they're going to recommend that you go on an antibiotic course while you are giving birth.
Wow.
Now, I tested positive for GBS at about 14 weeks, and the doctor said, we do not, give you another test about this. I have no idea, is what I mean to say, whether I am GBS positive as I'm about to give birth. So the day arrives, and I have, ladies and gentlemen, a perfect birth. My daughter was out in 2 pushes. I similarly had a perfect birth when I was pregnant with my son. I just do pretty well with pregnancy. I'm comfortable during pregnancy. There are no medical emergencies or any interventions. She's beautiful. She is a healthy 7 pounds and 3 ounces. And mom is exhausted. As you guys know, that it's exhausting to give birth. It's exhausting to carry a child. And all I'm looking for is some sleep. It almost at a certain
she didn't take
point
any
starts
antibiotics.
to feel like you're being pranked with how many times they knock on the door. I'm a big believer that all a mother needs after giving birth to a child, the most important thing rather, not all she needs, depending on how the birth went, but the most important thing is sleep. Your body has just done something that is incredible. You are rightfully tired, and if they could not knock on the door and let mother and child sleep, they will be better for it. but you are not allowed to sleep in a hospital after you've just given birth. So I promise you, it was knock, knock. The nurse at the door, and she says, we've got to check your child's vitals. Great. That's a good thing, by the way. I think that's a good thing. You want to make sure they don't have a temperature. And they go, oh, baby's good. I promise you, 15 minutes later, it's knock, knock. We have to check your vitals. I'm thinking, okay, well, it would have been great if you could have done this at the same time. And this happens about every hour. It feels at least like every hour. Maybe it's every 2 hours. They just keep checking on the vitals of mom and the baby to make sure nothing has changed. And they knock, knock. We're here to weigh the child. Okay, well, I just gave birth to her maybe 5 hours ago. Kind of seems strange. You need to check her weight again, but all right, that's fine. Knock, knock. Dolly Parton's books. I kid you not. I had a knock on the door while I was in the hospital. So fatigued, just wanting to close my eyes. And it was I guess they say it's a captive audience, and it was from Dolly Parton's books. And they say, you can sign up and you can get books for free for the first year. And it's for free, so why wouldn't you? And I literally said, thank you, but no, I just want to sleep, I just want to sleep. They leave. Knock, knock. And she comes back with a woman who has a form. And she looks at me and she says, I hear you want to leave before the newborn screening. And I said, yep, I want to get out right now. I need to go home and I need to sleep for my sanity. And she says, well, I'm going to have to give you this form. I kid you not. They hand me this form, right? It is just before 4 o'clock in the morning. And it is a form, and she even highlighted the section that was relevant. It says, I have been informed that under Tennessee law, Title 68, Chapter 5, requires these tests, and that a refusal of these tests is a misdemeanor.
Wow.
She said, I'm here to tell you that if you don't allow us to take your baby's blood, it is a misdemeanor.
And I did look this up. And it is a law there in Tennessee in 2019, Title 68, Health, Safety, and Environmental Protection. Health. So it is a Class C misdemeanor if you do not give your baby's blood.
I kid you not when I say, I just started laughing. It was like a maniacal. I didn't even understand. I was in another world, another haze. I thought to myself, am I starting to hallucinate? Do I have actually a nurse in front of me telling me that it's a misdemeanor if I do not submit my newborn baby's blood to her? Am I understand? I just laughed. I said, can I see that form? Can I take this home? And she went, uh-huh. And I said, and for my understanding, when you say a misdemeanor, am I going to write a ticket? Am I going to get arrested? Do I have a court hearing? And she said, well, I don't know because no one's ever refused it. And I just started laughing. I couldn't do anything but laugh. My husband said, okay, we will wait until you take the baby's blood. Okay, we will wait, but we want to leave immediately. So she then says, well, we can't, even if we take the baby's blood test right now, we can't let you leave in the middle of the night because you have to be signed out by the OBGYN and the pediatrician. And I just said, when are they going to be here? She said, they're not going to be here until tomorrow morning. Now, I want to make this point very, very clear. I am not against genetic screening. I'm just not against the genetic blood test that takes place to see whether or not your child has any disorders. In fact, I think that's probably a good thing, and it's likely saved some lives. But it is quite extraordinary when you're told that it's a misdemeanor if you do not submit your blood to the state. But a conspiracy theorist might think, okay, is the state doing something with that blood? Why would they make it so severe that it's a misdemeanor? I don't tend to ever think that the state loves your children so much that they put in place a law like that because they just want to help kids that maybe have some genetic disorders. And this is actually funny because a month after I gave birth to my daughter, this article popped up, which I want to just read the headline for you guys. Police used a New Jersey baby's mandatory blood sample to pursue a criminal case. Public defenders and a newspaper are now teaming up to sue over privacy concerns.
A new lawsuit is asking how often police in New Jersey use DNA from blood samples taken from newborn babies to build criminal cases against their family members. The state public defender's office wants to know if screenings that are mandatory to test 100,000 newborns every year are being used to sidestep constitutional rights. News 12 New Jersey's Alex Sedan reports from Trenton.
are so many dangers when we talk about having sort of easy access to people's genetic material. To me, I don't think that that's worth the risk.
Are Jersey cops trying to get around having warrants to get suspects' DNA by using a state database of blood samples taken from newborn babies?
And most of the time, parents aren't even told that this blood is being taken and what purpose that it's going to be used for.
Hospitals around the state draw blood from newborns to test for 60 different types of diseases. The blood samples are kept by the state for up to 23 years. But in at least one case, the public defender's office is alleging the state police obtained a sample from the newborn database to analyze whether it tied the child's father to a crime committed in 1996.
So it's kind of like sidestepping around the search warrant, where they don't have enough probable cause to go after a specific person.
A parent and a biological child share 50% of the same DNA. The public defender thinks the subpoena for the child's DNA may be a violation of the Fourth Amendment, protecting against unreasonable searches.
Just something you might like to know. This actually happened in New Jersey. So imagine you're a couple, you submit to this newborn screening, you assume that it's just for genetic testing, and then you find out later that somebody in your family gets convicted of a crime because they used that blood to track them down. Just something you should potentially know.
Wow. What if the child is born at home? What do you do there? Do you get charged with a misdemeanor if you don't bring the child in to give blood? Or how did they know the child was born? They're going to call CPS, send them to your house. But anyway, what you guys think about this? And thanks for watching, and subscribe to my channel, and have a great day.